maltodextrin, dextrose, xanthan gum, citric acid, high fructose corn syrup, and cornstarch. Now you're probably asking yourself right now what all of these things have in common besides being on the back of a Doritos package, but I'll tell you, each of them are made with or processed with corn. In fact, according to the Northwestern Medical Associates of Arkansas, 75% of packaged food contains corn. With that, it's no secret that corn is a dominant ingredient in the American food system. As someone who strives to be conscious of what I consume on a day-to-day basis, and after researching this topic extensively, I was shocked when I learned just how much America relies on corn. And the more I learned, the more I understood just how ingrained this crop is in the American diet. The purpose of my speech today is to first explain the gradual replacement of other foods with corn and how it entered into the American food system, how it's infiltrated the primary feed of our livestock and cattle, and how, most importantly, it's caused a myriad of adverse health effects. For starters, corn is everywhere. According to John Dobley, who is a geneticist who specializes in the crossbreeding of corn, modern corn stems from the Mesoamerican wild grass known as teosinte, which originally had 8 to 12 kernels per plant. But over years of selective breeding and cross-geneticists, modern corn has over 500 kernels per ear. It's also important to mention that teosinte had kernels that would fall off if they shook in the wind, because of course, those are the seeds of the plant. But that is not beneficial when you're trying to reap the most out of your crop. And nowadays, according to the USDA Economic Research Service in 2023, 92 million acres are dedicated to corn in America, making it America's most produced crop. America is also the world's top corn exporter, with 10 to 20% being sent overseas. And Michael Pollan, a food journalist who specializes in food systems, says in his 2006 book, The Omnivore's Dilemma, that even the supermarket itself is made from corn. He says that from the wallboard to the joint compound, to the linoleum, the fiberglass, and even the adhesives, all of this is a manifestation of corn. Now we know that corn dominates our food supply, but how does it affect the meat and dairy industry? Well, according to the USDA in 2023, once again, who monitors the consumer products of Americans, corn is the most widely produced feed grain, making up, sorry about that, it's down, 95% of feed grain production. And according to the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, which is a hub for ranchers and cattlemen alike, 95% of our cattle in the US are fed a corn-based diet. Now, Michael Pollan, in his book, mentions that cows aren't meant to eat corn. As you've seen cows in a field, they eat grass, and that eating corn causes acidosis and bloating. Michael Pollan further notes that corn feeds the steer that becomes the steak. Corn feeds the chicken and the pig, the turkey and the lamb, the catfish and the tilapia, and even increasingly the salmon, which, if you don't know, is a carnivore by nature. But fish farmers are re-engineering the salmon's gut biome to tolerate corn. Feeding livestock corn has made meat production cheaper and more efficient, but also raises a plethora of concerns about nutrition and sustainability. Now we know that livestock consumes most of the corn that we produce, but how does it affect our own diet? Well, according to the USDA in 2023, processed corn ingredients are found in nearly all packaged foods, from cereals to frozen meals and even beverages. And Michael Pollan, in his book, states that processing corn strips it of its vitamins, fibers, and minerals, leaving only carbohydrates and sugars behind, which have little to no nutritional value. Now, Dr. Robert Lutzig, Dr. Robert Lutzig, who is a pediatric endocrinologist, warned in 2012 that additives like maltodextrin and cornstarch cause bloating, inflammation, and digestive issues. And according to the Journal of Agriculture and Food Chemistry, which is a peer-reviewed journal by the American Chem Society, cane sugar production has dropped by 35% with the rise of high fructose corn syrup. And Dr. Robert Lutzig also mentions in 2012 that unlike glucose, fructose is processed in the liver, and that overconsumption of it leads to fat accumulation and, most importantly, insulin resistance. In a Princeton University study done by Hilary Parker in 2010, states that animals exposed to food testing gained 48% more weight when eating high fructose corn syrup than other natural sugars. And this displacement of healthier whole food alternatives has made it harder to make conscious decisions when we buy our foods in the supermarket. With this, let me restate what I've covered. Corn is a man-made invention and represents one of the earliest forms of human intervention in genetics. It is found everywhere, from the foods in our grocery stores to the industry products that we use on a daily basis. It has infiltrated the primary feed of our livestock and affects both the industry and the quality of our meat. And also, most importantly, affects our health and how we feel. This is why it is important to understand corn's significance in the American diet and how we allocate our food resources. Thank you.